The most successful entrepreneurs are optimistic. In the next 10 minutes, I'll be sharing with you 4 ways that you're engaging in negative self-talk that is hurting your business. You need to stop it so that you can go on to grow your business. Please like and share this video if you get value from it. Hi y'all, I'm Dr. P. I'm a business coach and I've been a school psychologist for about 10 years in K-12 schools, in small, medium, and large school districts. And in my journey as a school psychologist, I've interacted with so many different individuals, and I saw how negative self-talk not only impacted our students and impacted their performance and their achievement, their social emotional growth and development, but I also saw how that negative self-talk impacted the adults I worked with when it came to implementing initiatives and also when it came to implementing interventions. Because we all engage in negative self-talk at some point in time. Some of us might be doing it a whole lot more than others, and we might be doing it a whole lot more than we should be, right? Because we're only human. And unfortunately, sometimes we look for the worst rather than looking for the better. That quote that I said, that the most successful entrepreneurs are optimistic, was actually said by Caterina Fake. She's a founder of FLICKR. She also said that it's a part of the job description. So we have to have that optimism, because all too often we focus on the negative, and that negative can bring us down and then cause us to abandon working on something that can be very beneficial, like having our own business. Like, we started our business for ourselves. We started our business so we could be an entrepreneur. So why are we engaging in that negative self-talk that is pretty much sabotaging our business? So like I said, I want to share 4 of those ways with you. And you're not alone. I myself engage in this negative self-talk at some point in time. And yes, it can be hurtful to your business, right? So that one of the very first ones, and this one was a big one for me, and it is holding yourself to high standards. I used to feel as though I was holding myself to these really high standards, right? And what I really found out was it wasn't that I was holding myself to high standards. I was being impossible with it. And when you're being impossible, you're almost looking at that perfection. And when you don't reach that perfection, you start to internalize it and say, oh, it's me, it's me, it's me. Because one of the things I found myself doing was I was looking at other people and how they were achieving success throughout their life. And this was through school and also, watching people who created their own businesses before I started mine. And I was watching them and I was saying, oh my gosh, they're being so successful what they were doing. And I just found myself looking at what they were doing, comparing myself, and then using all of the things that I said I didn't have from different people, right? I'm creating into this one person. How crazy is that? Because that was so crazy, because I was taking from different people all the things that I didn't have that they had and created into one person. And there was comparing myself to that one person. That's really impossible, to be matching myself up to a conglomerate of so many people into one. So I had to step back and realize, you know what? We all have different journeys. We all have different paths. More importantly, we all got different strengths. So I had to be looking at my strengths and looking at what I was bringing to the table and being realistic with what I wanted to accomplish. So that way I was holding myself to realistic standards, not to this impossible self-created person that didn't exist. Because again, remember, I was taking from all these different people and putting it into one. So that's one of the ways I was engaging in this negative self-talk, comparing myself to something I created, something impossible. Another way that it was really crazy for me to be doing, was reliving a bad experience. I don't know about you, but when something happens and it goes wrong, I was tending to relive it over and over in my head. And what I was telling myself was I was reliving it in my head because I wanted to see if I could figure out where I went wrong and what I could learn from it. Sounds great, right? Fabulous strategy, because you want to learn from what you did wrong. But here's where the problem lied. When I relived it in my head, I found something that went wrong and something I could learn from it. You think I stopped there? No. I kept reliving it over and over to be like, okay, what else was wrong? What else did I do wrong? What else could I learn from this? And I kept creating just a list of all these things that I learned from my experience, but all the while still going over and over and over in my head, this negative, this bad experience. And what did that do for me? I wasn't moving forward, because yes, I was finding ways where I could improve, But was I taking action on them? No. Instead, I was stuck in this negativity state of, oh my God, I did this wrong, I did that wrong, I did this wrong, I did that wrong. And I'm not looking at what I learned from it and putting it into action. So I really had to stop myself and be like, look at all the things you wrote down. Look at all the positives that you said you learned from that bad experience. Come on, you're learning from it. You got to move on. You have to take that action so that you can move on. If not, you're going to be stuck in that state of negativity and you're not going to go anywhere. So when you have your own business, yeah, you took advantage of an opportunity. You decided to reach out to someone, to speak to them about your business, to share information. It didn't go as you thought it would go. Okay, so what? Just learn from it and see where you went wrong and keep going on. Don't keep reliving it in your head. Don't do like what I did. Don't keep reliving that in your head at all. A third thing, because remember I said I want to share 4 with you, right? And I've shared 2 so far. I hope you're hanging in there with me. A third thing that we tend to do for ourselves, a negative self-talk that we tend to do with ourselves, right, is we kind of look at that big picture and we focus on that big picture, that big goal all the way down in the future. What happens when we do that? The thing seems so damn unrealistic, so far in the future and so unattainable because we're looking at it and like, oh my God, there's no way we'll ever be able to accomplish that. I know for some people that I've come across, their big thing is they want to be in their business and want to be making like 50 grand in 3 months, right? We'll talk about whether or not that's a realistic goal. That depends on what type of business you have, right? But then they're just focused on that one big thing, that one huge goal. That's what they want to accomplish, but they're not considering the smaller parts. So if you get up every single day and you're focusing on this big picture idea, but you're not looking at all the little parts that go into it, what happens? You tend to want to give up because it's so unreachable, because you're spinning in a circle every single day, engaging in activities that you're not quite sure whether or not they're the best things for what you want to do, right? Because you're just focused on the big goal and you're not giving yourself credit for things that you are doing that are working because you probably never sat down and wrote out those small goals that you needed to do in order to accomplish that big goal. Because let me tell you something, that's something I did at one point, several points really throughout my whole life, especially like when I was going through school. I had my heart set on I wanted to be a psychologist. I wanted to have a doctorate. And there was a point in time when I was like, oh my God, I will never get there, And I was like, how on earth am I going to do this? Because I was focused on that big picture, not realizing, hey, let's write down these smaller things and let's attain these smaller things. And when I did that, huge difference. So I did the same thing when I became a school psychologist. Yeah, when I started, I was focusing on big things that I wanted to accomplish. Then I had to remind myself, hey, let's focus on those small things and let's get those done. I celebrate my successes for getting them done and then keep moving on. And I do the same thing as a business coach, working with individuals who have their idea for their business. We do look at the big picture, but I also walk them through what are the smaller parts that you need to accomplish. So that way that big goal doesn't seem so overwhelming. You actually accomplish small steps that lead you to that big one. And when you get to that big one, it is so exciting and you're so on top of the world because you've accomplished that goal and now you're on to the next one. So it's a journey, it's a process. So again, don't beat yourself down. Yes, you have a big goal, but don't focus on that one big goal because it becomes so overwhelming and you give up. And you don't want to be one of those entrepreneurs. I don't know if you caught my live yesterday, but I did mention the fact that I was reading this ebook where it says that out about 10,000 entrepreneurs, you got 7,000 who fail. So you don't want to be one of those entrepreneurs who fail, because chances are you were focused on a big goal without realizing the smaller parts that go into that big goal. We got to focus on the smaller parts, accomplish them so we can move on, right? So those are the 3 I've shared with you so far. And like I said, this has helped me out on my journey, to becoming who I am today, and I really wanted to share it with you. The 4th one I wanted to share with you, this one is a big one, and this one is one that we all do. We all experience it, especially when we're starting something new. And that one is fear. We get so afraid, we get so scared of starting something new, and sometimes we're so afraid of even having successes because psychologically we create what we think is this terrible situation, right? And we come up with all these ideas and all these things that could possibly be going wrong. That's what we do. We create these negative experiences, and then we have all those anxieties. Then we become so afraid. Then we become so fearful of pretty much success. And you started a business, so you have to be successful. If you want that business to thrive, you got to be successful. We have to be looking at what we're saying to ourselves to create that fear. Because is it something we're saying? Is it something people are saying and then we're repeating it to ourselves? And if you do, here's what you need to do. You need to change those self-talk that you're having with yourself and start using the pronoun you. Because once you start saying you so that you can motivate yourself, you're going to see a big difference. There have been some psychological studies on whether or not you should use I or use you when you do your self-talk. And they found that when you use you actually are more likely to complete a task, right? So once you're doing that, then you're now shifting from getting out of that fear zone into engaging in some positive self-talk with yourself, focusing on the positives. Because remember, I mentioned those goals that you're going to be focusing on, right? The small parts to lead up to the big one. So you're going to be looking at what you need to accomplish those. Don't sit there and be like, oh my God, I don't have what it takes to do this. I don't have the skills to be doing this. I don't know why I got involved in this business. Don't be saying those negative things to yourself. Focus on why you got involved. You got involved because you saw there was a need for your business. So don't stop on it. No, you also need to be focusing on your strengths. You need to be focusing on your abilities. You need to be focusing on your skills. We all have strengths, abilities, and skills. Mine might be different to yours, but the thing is, you need to be able to identify what your strengths are, what your abilities are, what your skills are. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be some things along the path of your business growth and development wherein you might not have the necessary skill for a specific task, right? But there's nothing stopping you from learning that skill so that you can move on. And if you're a member of a team, you could also rely on another team member to actually help you move forward, right? You don't have to be putting all this burden on yourself. So what? You don't have a specific skill, but you got strengths and you got abilities. You need to be working on those things to help you to be successful so that you can get out of all those fears of, I don't have the skill to do this. I don't have the ability to do this. Focus on your strengths, focus on your abilities, focus on your skill set. And where skills are concerned, if you don't already have it, you can develop that skill, use it, and then move on, right? So wanted to share those 4 negative self-talks that you're probably doing. And I shared those ways that you can stop engaging in that negative self-talk, right? Because you want to be successful in your business. You want your business to grow. So you need to stop engaging in this 4 ways of negative self-talk that I mentioned. Those 4 ways, stop them right away. And like I shared with you guys, some ways wherein you can actually go on to be successful, right? If you got value from this, feel free to like and share this video. Remember, solutions, actions, results. Until next time, Dr. P is out, y'all.